What is going on, guys? It's Dealer here back again after a week's hiatus, back with the best panel in the universe and some guests that make it even better. We've got a phenomenal show planned for you guys. Thank you guys for joining us and hanging in there. We're a little bit late, but I want to get to some of these intros, starting with Colt Eastwood, man. How you feeling, man? We got some good topics today.
Good. I took a vacation as well. Took a little bit of time off and been hitting the crap out of the Xbox games. Red Faction Remastered and a bunch of other stuff and having a good time.
Oh, yeah. Hey, D-Batch, what's going on, brother?
Man, chilling, enjoying the summer. A couple barbecues. Took moms out today. Just relaxing, man.
Took moms out today. Well, I hope you guys had a good time. Shady is back after a few weeks, man. Welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a while. I just want to let everyone know I was summoned back by the Emperor of the Sesh Empire himself to the 7th dimension. I had to pick up a war chest to make sure I can pick up this year's hot titles and not be on the out like some of the other unlucky bastards out there. But it's good to be back. I'm excited.
Got to make that money. Noof Nukem, man. Thanks for coming on and guesting, brother.
Boom, boom, kaboom. Yes, I'm in the RDX room, and it's good to be here. I'm having a good time. Can't wait to get into the topics. What's up, chat? Yes, Dealer, thanks for having me on, brother. I always look forward to being here, and got a couple of more weeks of downtime, so it's all good.
Hell yeah, downtime. Speaking of downtime, we got Tim Dog. What's going on, man?
What's up? Happy to be here. It's the big show, big time show, ready with the big time players, so ready to get going.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of assholes with microphones, but we do appreciate you coming on here. We've been good friends for years.
Yes.
And you fit right in here, brother. So we got some good topics, and I got a lot of interesting stuff that I want D's input in on. There's so much stuff going on here, but I do got to give a shout out first and foremost to the sponsors of the show. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there. We missed a show a few weeks ago because of a power outage. Came back, had one with JKB, our new member who is on vacation this week. And then we missed the next one because my girl's birthday, had to do some shit, And then we're back this time, and now it should be as consistent as ever. It's a very consistent show. So sorry it's been a little bit irregular here, but we are back, and I got to give the patrons and the sponsors of the show a shout out. We got to start with we got John Yoon, we got Mel S, Chief Exec, we got the Dirge Knight, we got Early Mendenhall, we got Guillermo Calvillo, we got Lethal Papa, we got Bigot 2316. And you know what? I'm also doing 2 game giveaways this month because you know what? The Patreon's been doing so well. I'm trying to get back a little more, and we got 2 winners. So the first winner of Red Faction Remastered for Xbox One is Guillermo Cavillo. I will talk to you on Patreon, or please Twitter me, DM me, whatever. And the second winner of Star Wars Battlefront 2 for Xbox One is Suicide King. So thank you guys so much. You powered the show. Let's get into the first topic, which isn't even necessarily an Xbox topic, but we'll kind of get to that. So Sony are finally, they're up on top again in the Japanese market. They're now the most valuable Japanese company, I think, after the last 15 years, right, Tim? Did you hear about this?
I didn't hear about this either.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I thought I had my Yeti on the mute, but it's 10 years. They hit a 10-year stock high. So
yeah, so that's great. They're really consolidating their efforts into the PlayStation platform. PlayStation now, for better or worse, is the tip of the spear. So PlayStation isn't doing well, which it very much is. Then Sony isn't doing well. That's how badly they've really consolidated their efforts there. So I just figured that's interesting. We got a few people kind of bragging about that. Not sure why. Microsoft stock at its high. You could double and triple it. It's not even close. So I don't know why people are bragging about that. But, D, do you think that this money, this investment that Sony are seeing, that's why their stock's so high? People are buying a lot of it. Do you think that investment's going to have anything to do with PS5? You think they're going to maybe take a loss in the PS5?
I don't see Sony taking a loss in the PS5. No, I don't think they would need to, because to be honest, they got the mind share of the consumers right now. So if they can deliver on the games and the specs for the system, I don't see why the owners of the PlayStation 4 or the Pro wouldn't get the system. So I don't think so. And they're going with AMD hardware anyways, and the AMD stuff is quite affordable, and of course they're getting it at a huge discount because they're getting such a big supply of it. I don't think so. I don't think they will take a loss.
I guess we'll find out. Apparently, that's right around the corner. Alan Savage, thanks for the Savage super chat there, brother. We appreciate it. Thank you. But what people are saying, hey, Colt, did you hear people arguing about this DVD versus Blu-ray bullshit?
Yeah, kind of dumb.
So what's going on here? What's going on here? If for those that don't know, is DVD is still outselling Blu-ray, right?
I don't know how. I mean, when I go to Walmart, there's like 7 million of them thrown in a big wire bin that people just like walk right by.
That's how, is because there's so many more DVD players out there. The format is literally like a decade older or whatever, or more. And you've just got so much more players. All the movies are cheaper. The players are cheaper. I mean, it just kind of makes perfect sense. I mean,
all the cheap DVDs are on Hulu, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and like all those movies are available like on demand. But like, if you really want to buy a movie to own it, I would think you just buy a Blu-ray. I would think by now everybody's got some kind of Blu-ray player on a console or a rack unit.
I think even Blu-rays are a little bit still nowhere near as ubiquitous as DVD. I remember reading years ago that DVD players were one of the most popular pieces of technology, most prolific pieces of tech in the world. They're so cheap. Everyone and their dog has a DVD player, and they've had them for a very, very, very long time.
720p, right?
Well, and to be honest, not everyone is a huge movie apocondo that cares that much about the quality of their stuff. DVD looks decent. Blu-ray looks way better. 4K is insane. But not everyone is there for those things. They just want to watch the movie.
Here's the crazy shit, Shady. Tell me what you think about this. We've got some of the radicals, right? Some of the radical Sony guys on the other side saying, Sony, this is what they're saying when they learned about this news. The first thing that popped into their head was, wow, Sony were really right for not offering us a 4K Blu-ray player. It's not even popular.
God.
That's retarded. It's stupid. That is very stupid to say, quite frankly.
Really?
I mean, the option, my 4K Blu-ray player still plays 4K. It plays Blu-ray and it plays DVDs. And I've also heard that it only costs Microsoft, like $25 to put it in. I don't think they charged us any more than that to get it in our hands. So
did you hear D in disbelief in the background? Really?
That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. Like, the reason why it's probably outselling it is because a lot of people still have DVDs. There's a lot of older people that aren't upgrading to the Blu-rays. But regardless if it's outselling it, Blu-ray is just way better quality.
Oh yeah,
DVD is still 720p. Yeah, it's really old.
Well, hey, Philly Dilly, I just gotta say that my granny, she loves DVD. Looking at bingo on that TV screen never looked better, man. That's all I got to say about like 5 of them for the price of one. That's why DVD don't go out of style, man. It's just like skunk vaginas, you know what I mean?
Oh my God. Skunk vagina. Hey Tim, I know you encounter your fair share of frauds on Twitter. It can't surprise you at all. The Sony guys are saying, wow, Sony were right for not giving us 4K in the Pro because, look, DVD is still more popular than Blu-ray.
I think that's, I mean, I didn't see it, but probably because I had the guys probably muted or blocked. But, yeah, that is really backward thinking and stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, it's you're dealing with better tech and, I mean, it's crazy to me though, as we talked about how Blu-ray hasn't adopted, but it's more or less, you want technology to increase, and the DVDs, like Shady was saying on the panel, they're just so old and so they're still out there. They don't break. People are just still buying them cheap. They don't, they buy the cheaper DVD. But you should always want to, the higher quality. I mean,
price is a big factor.
Yeah, but you know what, dealer? How much you want to bet when the PS5 gets released and they have the 4K Blu-ray? Everybody stands up and applauds. They're like, yeah, this is genius. This is great.
It'll be UHD too, I think.
That's an absolutely fantastic point. Noof says when PS5 comes out, it'll have 4K Blu-ray, and those same guys will be breakdancing their asses off, saying this is amazing. Yeah, so not only will they be doing it for 4K Blu-ray, they'll be doing it for backward compatibility and power. You'll see a lot of flopping And you know what? Look forward to that. It's interesting stuff, really. But
another reason I was going to say, Midgie 1433, I believe. Sorry if I fucked your name up. They were saying that when they buy like movies for their kids and stuff, anything Disney, whatever, the kids don't give a goddamn about resolution, so they go the cheap route, and you know that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, I mean, we completely understand why people buy DVD. The thing we're talking about here, and the thing that's mind blowing, is that people are so anti-consumer. They're praising Sony for not giving them more features and capability. That's insane to me.
Well, that's the whole Fortnite thing too. I mean, people don't understand with the cross progression and cross DLC, that's stuff that you own, and you're basically saying that you can't track that, and
Good
you're
job, Sony. I can't take the content where I want.
Yeah, you're supporting that. You know, you're just really, you know, I mean, if put it this way, if the Xbox One X came with a DVD player, that'd be the biggest joke, and that'd be going, because at least, you know, you have a Blu-ray player there. So whoever says that is just, you know, stupid. You know what I mean? You know, I mean,
and no one addresses the compromises from streaming. You know, if you have data caps, the bit rate loss with streaming. You know, you have no holdback on digital disc media, and like we said, you know, it doesn't really cost. That's not what made the Xbox One X $100. That is the very least of the cost increase. There's so much in the X console that makes it more expensive and more powerful over the Pro. And it's not even that big of a deal anyway.
Streaming media actually takes up a lot of data. I didn't realize. I was looking at my Xbox data usage, and just leaving YouTube on for the night when I go to sleep takes up like 10, 12 gig a night.
Yeah, and when you watch 4K, you need at least 20 megabits to 30 megabits, depending on the quality you're getting. So,
that's just the down speed, but the actual amount of data that you're using while streaming is pretty staggering. Like I said, YouTube over an 8-hour, 9-hour period when you go to bed is like 10, 12 gig worth of streaming. So if people have data caps, that can
I can't believe they still have data caps in this day and age, to be honest.
They do, and it's probably going to get worse at all these mergers. But I do want to move the topic head to Inside Xbox. Inside Xbox, the last one to me was like, meh. I talked about this on Crossfire with Mooch. I'm going to throw this out there, and I want to know the panel's reaction list, and I think me and Colt may have talked about this before. I want them to get rid of everybody, all the fuck faces on Inside Xbox, all right, and replace them all with veterans like Adam Sessler, people like that, right? For one, get people like Sessler on there, people that, you know, people like. We care.
They can afford it.
All right, get Sessler, people like that. Stop doing the show live. Do it pre-recorded. Shrink it down to 45 minutes and get rid of all, you know, in my opinion, the fan bullshit. They're trying to click on the damn screen. They ain't working. They're trying to read shit. Get rid of all that. I mean, I think it'd be very simple. They could really shrink it down, get some good people in there that people might enjoy listening to a little bit more, and get things done. You know, I really consider Inside Xbox on the level of This Week on Xbox or in Xbox on the Xbox YouTube channel, a little 10-minute video they do. That's kind of on the level that Inside Xbox is right now for me with the reveals and stuff. I don't know. I'm not really excited for it.
I feel like Inside Xbox is everyone involved in that. I feel like it's their little fun project they do. Like it's their challenge to pull this off live, and they get to, you know, go off the cuff and try to follow script all at the same time and try to make it exciting. And it really does come off as really cringy. And you said 45 minutes. I would love for that show to be 30 minutes. I mean, really trim the fat down, and just talk about what people want to talk about. What they want to hear about.
The indie gamer says he loves it. He thinks it's an absolutely fantastic idea. I also want to give a shout out to Foxfire and Luca. You guys are awesome. Everyone in the chat, as usual. Hit that like button, guys. We're well over 300 people already. Thank you so much for tuning in. Anybody else think this is a good idea? Maybe there's a con to it. Inside Xbox, better or worse?
Well, yeah, shorten it up. That's a big key. Is shorten it up and make it more exciting. Put less is more sometimes in a show like that. You know what I mean? Like I think the other one is just as effective. The one that they run like on the weekly. What's that one that they always used to do? Just a little video. What was that one called?
I think it was Inside
yeah, it was some kind of Xbox. Yeah,
I think the new Inside
Family Xbox, maybe Xbox
Family Xbox.
Well, they used to do everything in a quick and easy, like minutes, right? I mean, and you know, and the hosts just need some more charisma, like, you know, like nothing against Larry Herb and all, the guy's, seems like he's intelligent and, and all that stuff, but just, he's, I don't know, man, just coming from a radio background and dealing with people and artists and stuff like that. There's a lot of charismatic people out there that just could sell shit a little bit better. Make people more excited. Sometimes it's just the way you say stuff. It's not, that sort of thing. So yeah, shorten it up, make it better, cut out some of the fluff, get rid of the really boring devs. At least if the devs are going to put someone on to talk about the game, get someone that's really passionate about it, that like is actually like a media person instead of like, well, this is the lead dev, because a lot of those lead devs are like Sean Murray, like they're fucking dead as doornails. You know what I mean? So
he's so awkward. Sean
Murray. They drug him out of his hole for that episode.
For me, I think it's a lack of quality control going on over there. I do think it should be shorter. I don't think that you should have things like the white glove thing or things like the State of Decay emergency room. I didn't even watch it.
Oh my god, the State of Decay episode was the longest one. It was probably the worst.
And it was probably the worst. When you have that type of stuff and you're not cutting that out, or you're not saying, hey, Larry, you look foolish with the white gloves on a stupid controller that nobody wants to hear about because everyone just wants to hear about games. And also that day prior, you leaked all your information via the web. So everyone going into the show knew what was going on. We were new in Rocket League. Like I told them, you use information to break news on that show. Make it an hour, break your information, hold off from your stupid press releases in the morning, and you make a little bit of information that day. Hopefully, every show you should strive to try to break some news, and the better the news, the better the show is going to be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I agree with the fan things. Like, they're only picking guys and say, hey, use the hash more. Listen, I think that Larry is actually very entertaining when he has when they let him. Listen, I know Larry from when we're talking and he's off the cuff and you would be surprised how funny the guy is and how he speaks and stuff like that. But obviously when you're on a TV show, you have to present yourself in a certain way. I just think they should give him a little more creativity, lose some people. There's some people, when you're doing the stupid thing where they drop it reminded me of that stupid game show.
Major's Minute.
Yeah, I mean, when they dropped
or he advertises his eHarmony profile for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all quality control, and that's what they need.
Let me say something, because we just went on a tirade for 10 minutes about Inside Xbox. It's not easy to stand in front of those cameras and be super charismatic and on point and on your game every time. So I know they're doing the best they can, but like Dealer said, get a couple of heavy hitters in there. They have the money. Get Sessler in there and some other people in the business that have been on other bigger shows, like even some people from Game Trailers. Those old guys are pretty cool too. Not old, but just
Sessler would be perfect in that.
Perfect.
Hey, if Adam Sandler's Netflix shows keep flopping, he's going to come pretty cheap soon.
Shabba-doo-shabba-dooey.
That's
I mean, just the fact that if you could bring Sessler on, though, that would jettison that show. That would just kind of give it instant credibility.
I just want that guy back in front of the gaming camera, but yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's not a perfect show, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of people have to lower their expectations too. We said this from the beginning. You're not getting massive E3 style announcements. It's kind of like the old Inside Xbox. It is the old Inside Xbox with a bigger budget. That's all it is. And I guess we'll see how the next months turn out. But, they kind of lured us in with Forza Horizon 4 stuff. This past one, they're like, okay, now that the show's over, go there and check that shit out. It was kind of weird,
They still don't know how to break gameplay clips. That's my whole thing with that show. It's just listen, if you're going to do a show and we're going to be talking about how much it sucked 3 days later, you're defeating your own purpose. You're better off at this, it's like the doll. It's like the doll. You put that stupid doll.
Don't bring
up the doll. You put it on. But you put yourself in precarious positions. Don't put yourself in a precarious position if you don't have to. So if you're gonna either do a 2-month show, you better have that show on target, because Xbox guys, every time the thing comes out, they're pissed off at the end.
Yeah, it's the hardcore that are supporting it, and you're right. If the hardcore are watching it and then 2 days later always talking about how bad it was or how meh it was, it's kind of counterproductive. What were we gonna say?
I was just going to say, that's kind of a them problem, isn't it? With the flipping out, being all hardcore. Anyone in this podcast on the show kind of already knows everything that they're going to show. It's for everybody. Exactly. It's for a little bit of behind the scenes stuff with the devs if you want it. I did get a big kick out of the fact that they showcased Far Cry 5, even though that has a marketing deal with PlayStation. They were doing interviews with the devs, with the actor that played the bad dude there. Like, with some games, I guess they're able to do that and circumvent the marketing deals. It's basically hour-long to hour-and-a-half-long commercial of what you're going to have available on Xbox in the next month. Yeah. And that's all it is, and that's all I've ever looked at it as. It can be boring sometimes, but other times it's not too bad. Kind of funny, kind of tacky
kind of
as fuck.
Lower the expectations, right?
Like big time. Just lower them because they should have never been that high, not because the show doesn't deliver. But you guys, a lot of people were coming into this thing expecting like mini E3s every month, like some kind of mania.
That is
no
true.
way.
Well, look.
I want to give Noof the final word here on this.
I'll sum it up in layman's terms. Inside Xbox is like, it's like a bad fart. You know what I mean? Like the best farts are the ones that people don't know it's coming. But inside Xbox is like the fart that you warn people about. And you say this one's going to stink, and everybody leaves the room. That's pretty much what inside Xbox is.
Damn.
Well, hey, that was a hell of an analogy there. I want to go on.
Not all opinions are endorsed by RDX podcast.
What about when you're all alone?
I want to go into some kind of quicker fire topics here with PUBG hitting 8 million users on it, or is it 8 million sold? Right, 8 million sold on Xbox, which is pretty impressive, right, Tim?
Yeah, I think it's 8 million players.
I think it's users.
Yeah, and I think they had a free weekend. So if you want to deduct, and you say it's probably 5 million sales.
What was it at before, though? It was already really impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
Yeah, it made a ton of money. And it still sells. It's still, like, you look, it's still always in the top 3, and it's it's as crazy as Blue Hole seems like it's such a bad game. The game has a real strong following still, even with all the cheating and all the stuff that happened. I do think that Blue Hall, yeah, that they are a possible acquisition by Xbox.
Oh God, I hope not.
And that might cause a lot of trouble, but you know what? If they rebuilt the engine and they released PUBG with stable at 60 frames per second, it would give Fortnite a little bit of a run for their money, because the reason they were ahead, if you remember, and what hurt them was cheating and the performance issues. And if they could nail that down, PUBG is still a great concept for a game, and it's fun.
I think it is a great concept for a game, but I think that boat has sailed away. I think every company this fall, they're all going to have some type of battle royale mode, and I can pretty much say they're all going to be better than PUBG's battle royale mode. I don't think those developers have proven that they deserve that to be bought. To be honest with you, I'm not going to say they're not talented, because I don't know them personally, but I'll say that their game is not optimized, and their game's been out for quite a long time already, man. Like, come on.
That's a good point, D. I got to give a shout out to Safe in the chat, guys, and also I don't want to sit on PUBG I'm tired of talking about PUBG, motherfuckers. I'm just going to move forward.
Yes.
We've also got Yakuza potentially coming to Xbox. They say that they are more open to multi-platform than ever, and of course, if the interest is there, then I guess they'll see how it goes. Do you think this is coming to Xbox eventually, Colt?
No. I don't. I mean, we pay attention to the news enough. I've learned when rumors seem to look like they're going to be true, and this one just doesn't seem like it's going to come to fruition.
It very well.
I mean, it's a Sega title, right?
Yes, maybe.
It's always been on PlayStation. It's never been on Xbox. I think
it's one of those games that people think is actually exclusive, but it's just one of those games that just never came over. It's one of those games people think Sony actually made for them, but they didn't.
And in all honesty, they could port Yakuza to Xbox, and it would sell plenty to cover the work they put in to port it. But it's just one of those things. I'm not I don't care anyway. I mean, it kind of looks cool. It's just not my thing. And
yeah, I agree with Hawk in the chat. Who cares? I don't care. GT Sport hits 5 million players, right? So apparently, you know, the game's doing decent over there. You compare that to, because there are going to be people that want to know, you know, how's competition is doing. Forza Motorsport, the series combined, did 22 million players last year. Forza Horizon 3 specifically was 9 million. I'm not sure how many played Forza 7, but I'm guessing it's making up the difference there. So
that's still solid.
All these games, they're so niche. Racing games are so niche. You know, they're apparently doing really good, right? So even GT Sport at a 75 on Metacritic, and the limited content that it has, Sony fans like racing games. That's one of the oldest pedigrees on PlayStation. Is
gamers like racing games.
Well, I'm just saying in general, like gamers like racing games, but Sony guys should really like racing games, because back when I was on PS1, Gran Turismo was it. That was like, wow, Gran Turismo, you know? So I'm glad they're kind of supporting the game. I hope that they get their shit together with the next game and offer more than 150 or so cars and 15 tracks, most of which aren't even real tracks, stuff like that. They definitely got to get the content up there. The game needed another year or two, it seemed, and it already had like 4 or 5. So hopefully it gets better. What are you saying, Noof? Was that you?
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just going to say it doesn't really surprise me. I'm happy to see that Gran Turismo is finding its audience. And I mean, overall, you think it would, because I mean, Gran Turismo has been a huge Sony franchise for many years, and of course, fans have an insatiable appetite for that franchise, because I suppose in one good side is that they don't pop out GTs like every day, like they're few and far between. This is the first GT game you know, on the PS4, and you know, and the PS4 has been out since 2013. So you know, that in itself is the only downside I see to Forza, is that we've sort of oversaturated the Xbox market with Forza. I hope that Turn 10 does decide to give number 8 a break, because I think the franchise could just use just a little downturn, let people enjoy, you know, Horizon, enjoy Forza 4. But it is good to see like lots of people adopting the game. You know, at the end of the day, like I said, it just shows you Metacritic doesn't really make a difference that much. You know,
I actually disagree there. I think taking 4 or 5 years to make a game with 150 cars and very limited tracks is not acceptable. I think that's
that part, no.
Financially irresponsible on behalf of Polyphony. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they got some management changes there. But Forza Motorsport, the guys who are into the sim aspect get a game every 2 years. I don't think that's too much. I wait 2 years for the next installment. Whereas if you want that kind of open world arcadier type of scenario, like Horizon 4, we're all going to have a blast with it. You get that every 2 years. And there are some people that do not play one or the other. And if you're a big Forza fan, you probably play both. So I don't know. I don't think 2 years is too often, honestly. I mean, there's sports games every year in every other genre.
And they sell like hotcakes.
But in Forza's case, it's not just a shinier helmet and a new roster. It's actually tons of new tracks and weather effects and cars and upgrades and updates. Like it's a much deeper upgrade over title.
I'll give Sony a little bit of a break here, and I'll give them a chance to release another Gran Turismo game in the next 2 years, because this game, it got delayed because a lot of people cried out that the models were the same models that they used in the previous Gran Turismo games. And I've been playing this game like at least a couple of years before it came out. I played it, you know, different game expos, and it looked like shit. Like the car models, you could tell they were like from the PS3 era, right? So
they had some, yes. They carry some over.
Yeah, so they revamped that and they got rid of all those cars. So it took them a while to do it. So that's why it kind of got really delayed. So there's no excuses now. They have all the assets now. So there's no reason why they can't release a game in the next year and a half.
Hey, Eternal Shadow in the super chat, man. Thanks. He says the Shenmue series used to be with Microsoft and Sega. How come the Yakuza series cannot be? You know, I'm not saying it can't be. As a matter of fact, I think it will be. I think it will come up. Yeah, so I guess it's one of those things we will have to wait and see. We've also got a new PS4 model coming into circulation. I'm guessing it's to cut costs. They through software, they can manage heat better and take copper out of the heat sink and all that stuff, whatever. So they kind of save money throughout. So they are putting out a new revision of the PS4. There's no visual difference, only internally, and that's nothing you'll notice, but it is one of those models they sneak out there to kind of cut parts out. They found a way to make some things.
the Slim model and not
no. It's going to look exactly like the Slim, but it's just going to either use less power. They've saved money somewhere. It's benefited them enough to put it into production. So that's coming out. And speaking of consoles, Xbox One S #1 on Amazon. Colt, let us know about that.
It's very surprising. I mean, it's Amazon Prime Day.
It's garbage day. Yeah, Amazon Prime Day.
For those of you who get the reference.
There.
Yeah, there are listed out the top 100 in the U.S. It varies by region, but I'm looking at the U.S. because that's where I live. And the Xbox One S bundle, which is a weird,
which
not
is by far
even
the largest market, by the way.
Yeah, and it's not even, this bundle isn't even like the most tantalizing. It has Rare Replay included in it. I don't know what else is in it, but it's an Xbox One S, the white base model console. It's #1. I can't remember what #2 is, but #3 is the blue and I guess they call it the neon Nintendo Switch, the blue and reddish
and that's
one.
as of now, so we don't hear somebody in 5 days. Well,
Somebody may watch this after the fact, like in a week, but this is as of earlier on a Tuesday. What is it, July 17th?
So they got the Switch there.
Nintendo Switch. And then the Xbox One X is like number 95 out of 100. And PS4 has a couple of games in the 100 and a charging dock, like number 11. And none of the PS4 consoles, give me the floor for a second, guys. None of the PS4 consoles are on the top 100. But I saw a bunch of Sony guys on Twitter saying that's because all the PS4s are sold out. So they're not in the top 100. So there's two problems with that. If they're sold out, they would be in the top 100 best selling. Here's the other problem. I counted 8 different SKUs of available PS4s. The camo one, the regular one, the Slim, the Pro, the blue special edition PlayStation one with the 4 icons. 8 different, like totally mainstream PS4 consoles were all available on there. I don't know where people are saying they're all sold out. I mean, when you can just click and look.
Well, I think I know where they're getting. I think it's called a lie.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think they just pulled that out of their ass. And
they could be talking about in Uganda. Amazon Uganda, they're sold out. I don't know.
I think they're just lying, most likely. That's a popular tactic. I've seen it used before. So I do want to move on to Microsoft and Crackdown. They say they are unwilling, just flat out unwilling to delay this game again, which is their way of saying it doesn't need to be delayed again because it weren't finished. They're not going to release a half-finished game anyway. So they said they're not willing to delay Crackdown further. And there's some stuff going on about a report where a guy basically says, I don't know if the destruction's in there anymore. I don't work there anymore, but I don't know if the destruction's in the multiplayer. And a lot of people are saying that a report saying that the destruction is not in the multiplayer anymore, according to an employee who never really focused on it and doesn't even work there anymore.
Well, aren't you talking about Dave Jones, the guy that was like, he told the press that he was basically a consultant of sorts. He was just supposed to oversee the project early on.
Some of the previous games, right?
I mean, he created the original Crackdown series, but he also was responsible for APB on the PC, the free-to-play MMO that's like a Grand Theft Auto Saints Row ripoff. That trash, yeah. But I mean, I love the guy for making Crackdown, but this is the first time he admitted that his role in the Crackdown development has been so minimal, other than to like say, hey, is this okay? Is this, following your vision? And Microsoft has had control of it. The big problem is they've been pushing the game onto all kinds of third-party studios that they don't own, like Guns for Hire.
They're learning the hard way.
Yeah, and plus they were in the middle of having their hands tied financially with the previous leadership of Xbox. But when you said that they are not willing to delay it any longer, Phil Spencer said, and I know a lot of people are doing doom and gloom on this, but we'll set it straight since I carefully read the article. Phil Spencer said that the game was ready for autumn, was his words, autumn of this year, which is in the fall. And he said, I didn't want to release it anywhere near the packed holiday with Call of Duty and Battlefield and Red Dead Redemption. And so he said, let's move it to February.
He said that on that Giant Bomb interview, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which was probably his best interview ever.
Yeah. Very good. A lot of stuff, cool stuff.
Spencer. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Will it have the destruction? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I might be standing downwind here, but I smell a multiplayer reveal of Crackdown 3 coming up at Gamescom. It makes sense to me. Unless it's totally gone, I think it's going to be there.
Well, hey, I mean, you never know. You guessed, you got lucky on Battlefield.
Yes.
You got lucky, keyword, on
Prophet
Battlefield.
Shady in the house.
I knew about Battletoads. I knew about Battletoads for months, man. Ready Player One was the deal sealer. They were front and center like 4 fucking times, bro.
Oh my god, you got lucky, motherfucker. All right, so anybody else got anything to say on this Crackdown thing? I'm so tired of talking about Crackdown.
Tim actually probably should say something.
Well, I think overall, I mean, listen, I'm one of the guys that was tooting this horn a long time ago. So at the end of the day, I have egg on my face. I have egg on my face. But I think what you got from those comments, and like Colt says, just read the article. It's not as bad as the title would assume. But I think what's going on is that when they did that in 2015, they thought maybe they could do it on a bigger scale. I think you're going to get a multiplayer cloud compute design. That's what that was. I just don't think it's going to be as ambitious as they once thought it was going to be, or it's just not there where they want it to be. Do I think the tech is valid and viable? Yes. Obviously, you saw Epic buy CloudGen, and you know that it's being used. Now, it does get murky when you see that they showed that demo on Build in 2014. If you guys remember, Build 2014 Xbox showed that demo, but it had no coloring. It was just it showed the construction.
Yeah,
of the
I saw that when they're doing the wall, right? Yeah.
And I had went to a party and I had asked engineers, and they said that's something that has to be built into the API. Conflicting reports. Then they said Dave Jones was the chief executive or the creative design of it. A lot of things changed. I don't know who owns that technology, but I do think that Microsoft definitely has a hand in it, and you're definitely going to get some type of multiplayer. I just don't think it's going to be as ambitious as we all wanted it to be. But
you know what? I'm hearing a lot of people saying that Microsoft lied about the cloud stuff, or they just focus so much on marketing and advertising on the cloud shit. We've never seen the cloud stuff from them officially. Not once had they demonstrated Crackdown 3 multiplayer. We've seen it behind the scenes in an early form, but they never come out with a commercial or an official come out and say, "I can't wait for you guys to play this multiplayer." Never.
No, and I've never heard them push cloud power as much as people think they did.
Not in any significant way did they ever come out and base Crackdown 3 as the multiplayer as his foundation. Not once. So will it happen? Hopefully. Maybe it won't. Like I said, there is a new SDK apparently, according to one developer, that is improving performance on the Xbox One X. D-Banch, you're noticing more and more 60 frames per second titles on the X over the Pro. They just can't do it on the Pro, but with the X, they're like, hey, we can get there.
Yeah, well, we know that the CPU was overclocked, and I remember earlier they were talking about some architectural things that they built into the CPU itself to help with some frame rates. So
more L2 cache, lower latency, stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. So this is why we're seeing higher frame rates, and also too, the GPU gives them a little bit of overhead as well, right? So they can dial back things on the GPU to say like 1800p, and then crank out the 60 frames per second as well, or to do a checkerboarding method. You know what I'm saying? Because the strain is not on the GPU, right? And the CPU, like I said, it's overclocked compared to the PS4 Pro or the regular PS4. So this is why we're seeing this. Yep. And I know they have some type of technique. They haven't demonstrated in any games now. I know they can do some type of frame interpolation on that system as well. So I don't know if that's playing any factor into any of these games.
I was told that was supposed to make its way into Unreal Engine 4 early 2018. And that way it's kind of like the temporal reconstruction option in the engine. You just hit a button and it will just basically checkerboard things or reconstruct things. I guess now devs might have the option to insert blank frames in between each frame and give you that smoother frame rate. I don't know. It'd be very interesting. I'd like to see how that works. We've also got games like, what is that? Danger Zone 2, right? Did that just come out? Mm-hmm. That's a game that has a 60 frames mode on the X, but not on the Pro, apparently. That's what I'm being told. So, I mean, that's just another example of developers able to do a little bit more, and that really helps the console be a little bit more future proof. So
games play better on Xbox. People hate that saying, but it's kind of coming out to be true for a lot of these games.
It's undeniable. They do. You can sit there and say, like, you know, some of the exclusives from Sony may look better than some of the exclusives that are on Xbox.
But those same exclusives running on the X would look way better than the Pro.
Exactly. That's just a fact.
Somebody said the other day that God of War couldn't run it at 4K on the Xbox One X because it's just so demanding and so beautiful that if it was on the Xbox One X, it couldn't run 4K.
What an idiot. God of War is checkerboard 2160p, meaning it's running above 1440p. Usually that's what that means. Anything at 1440p on the Pro can do 4K on the X, as we just learned with Crash Bandicoot and Far Cry. You know, similar resolutions, both around 1440p on the Pro or 1440p on the Pro and 4K on the X. It's been done time and time and again. I told you guys this would happen years ago, and it's just how it's going.
Not only that, you're getting 4 times resolution. You take a game like Overwatch, that's 1080p native on Pro, 4K native on Xbox One X. I mean, it's undeniable. I think everyone who has an X is up for a treat. And, you know, a game, you know, that you've made videos about, and you know, I heard some people asking Forza Horizon 4 with the 60 frames per second. I mean, that is super impressive, man.
That's next level shit, man.
I didn't think they would be able to do it, and they're gonna do it. I don't know if it's gonna be 900p, but you know what? It's like I put that poll up, and I put the same poll up like a year ago.
900p on the X at 60?
Nah, I don't know. I think it'll be a
1080p,
right?
That game, if it is 1080p, it's because they don't want any of the drops to come from the GPU, and they only want the CPU to be the bottleneck. But realistically, they should be able to run Horizon 4 around 1440 60. Yeah. I think they confirmed 1080 though, just to keep that GPU
locked.
I'm gonna shoot and say they're gonna do 1440p 60.
I think they have already confirmed 1080 though. I'm not sure.
1080. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But even you know that's enough power to do well above 1080.
Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just so surprised because, like I said, you know, when people brought that up for Forza Horizon 3, I was like, wow, I don't know. This is open world. This is. I mean, you look at even the newer one, this one. Like I'm watching the things crazy. Like the mud and. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and for that to do 60 frames,
it looks off the chain. And you know what? It's a similar situation to Gears of War 4 on the X. The frame rate mode is at 1080. Digital Foundry tested the power draw in each of the 4K and 1080 mode. The GPU isn't even sucking almost half as much power in the 1080 mode as it is in the 4K mode because it could really do around 1440p at 60. They just don't want any drops to come from the GPU. They want that CPU to be the sole reason there's any slowdown. So they left it at 1080. The console sucks way less power at 1080 because that GPU is not being ramped up like it could be. And they're going to do the same thing with Horizon 4. If it is 1080, they did it for the same reason. It'll be interesting to see. I do got to give a shout out to 500 people watching this live, guys. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. We know news is dead here lately, but you still showed up. We appreciate it. Let's try to get it up to 300 likes before the end of the show. That'd be great.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah,
big numbers there.
Remember, Playground Games said that they could get Forza Horizon 3 X enhanced at 60, but they decided to focus on 4K. And you know, we weren't sure if they were being 100% truthful with us. And then
I think they did it so they would have another marketing point for Forza Horizon 4. They're like, let's just give them 60 and 4. Honestly, I think that's what they did. The game's still great on the X, but 4 is going to be even better now because of that frame rate. So got a massive cheer on the E3 stage, right?
Yeah.
And that's why when they see polls,
game, I can see that game, not to throw up, but I mean, and not to go off, but that game really is looking like I don't think that game is. I don't really, and I'm not going to. I don't think that game's going to score below a really high score on Metacritic. I mean, that game looks like it's stepping up from Forza Horizon 3, which was to many one of the best games, racing games ever made, and it seems to be really stepping it up on it.
Yep.
Hey, it's a good thing Microsoft bought Playground because man, that dev is like stupidly talented. Like holy hell.
Yeah, they are. Chat, real quick. I know we asked you this question before, but let us know what Metacritic you think Horizon 4 is going to get. Maybe you've had some time to sit on it. Like I said, I think it'll be a better game than 3, but because it's so similar to 3, I think they'll probably penalize it, knowing these fuckers. So,
well, yeah, well, you said, even I remember having the conversation with you, and it was an Xbox. It was one of our late night Xbox nights where we were talking to whatever 5 in the morning, and I said, well, how do you make Forza Horizon 3 better? And you basically said, well, make it a shared world with real players. Imagine seeing all these cool players. And I remember at the time thinking, like, wow, could they really do that? That'd be really tough to do. And then E3, they're announcing that.
Yeah, so this game's going to be super immersive too. It's going to be so immersive. Like, you have these houses and you can change so much stuff, and there's more stuff to interact with. And yeah, I agree with Dealer. I think it's going to get penalized like a few points for being derivative of such a great game that it didn't leap and bound over such an amazing game.
And honestly, you might say, well, what the hell? Why would they do that? They did the same thing with Forza Motorsport 7. That is by far the best Forza.
They got killed with the microtransactions.
There are no microtransactions.
That never existed.
That never existed. That never happened.
But I'm just saying, it's a better game in every way, but they crushed it on the same, and a lot of reviews didn't mention it, and they still gave it a lower review or the same as 6, which it's better than. So, that's just how it works. Unless you reinvent the wheel, around the 4th or 5th title, all right, it starts to get redundant to a lot of people. Maybe the share world will save it. The MUD technology is awesome. The 60 frames. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff going for it. I'm rooting for it. The chat is too. We got a lot of 90s. We got a lot of high 80s, a lot of mid 90s even. So it'll be interesting. We've also got, just to kind of move on with the damn subjects, Xbox is revamping the Microsoft Store. Not a massive change, but apparently it's a little faster. I can't wait for that, because that store's always been a little slow, and I'm running on some decent internet here. And that is available to preview members now. Really, what could they do in that store to make it all that much better, Noof?
Oh, geez. I mean, that's a tough question for me to answer. I don't spend a lot of time in the store. For what it is, it's effective. It gets the job done. I agree. It could be a little faster, but you know what? As a guy who owns a PS4 and an Xbox One, I find a PS4 store a lot of times is much slower than the Xbox, even though it's much simpler in design. They do need to cut out some of the fluffs. A lot of big graphics, big tiles still in there, kind of taking up a lot of space, that sort of thing. So, maybe they just need to like relegate some of the stuff to like I don't know, maybe put it somewhere else, like separate the store a little bit. I'm at a loss for words to really go with the store, because I don't deal with it a lot. It's not something I have a lot of expertise on. It does what it needs to do, but yeah, it could be faster.
Physical games too, don't you?
I buy all my shit physical whenever I can. Yes,
so
I do.
I literally picked the worst person to ask that question.
And I will continue to do so until nobody gives me the option to do anything different.
Gotcha. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I mean, people like what they like, man. Plus, you're avoiding data caps and all the stuff that comes along with that, I just realized my box in here is downloading all the same fucking games on my Gears 4 S in the other room. And I knew that happened, right? But it wasn't really dawning on me that thing was just downloading all these big ass games for no reason. So, anybody else got an idea how they can improve the store?
Well, just like Duke was saying, they need to revamp the way it looks. Those tiles, those gaudy tiles, they need to go. In all honesty, I would just copy how Steam is, to be honest with you. Why the fuck not?
No.
Well, the Steam interface is fine. There's nothing wrong with the Steam interface. It works great.
We're not robots, D.
More than the look of it, they need to really revamp the net code of it, because to download games on that, it just takes ridiculously long. It's just sometimes the games just take forever to download, or they download and they stop downloading, or you think it's downloaded and it deletes everything and then re-downloads it.
What kind of Xbox do you have?
I'm talking about the Microsoft Store completely. So I'm talking about like.
Are you on PC?
Oh, on PC, it's awesome.
Oh, Jesus. Right? Yeah, that's trash. Thanks to Terry Myerson. Yeah, it's been trash for a while.
Yeah, so like.
So mean, Dealer.
Fucking Terry. Fuck that guy. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, Dealer's so like printing out pictures of them and drawing mustaches.
On the Xbox side, just revamp the way it looks, and on the PC side, you really got to rethink that net code, because it's fucking horrible, and that's costing them a lot of money, because a lot of PC guys, they're like, I'm not fucking with it. I don't care if the game is cheaper. I don't give a shit. I'm not fucking with it, and they just don't go to it.
Yeah, that's true. And we've had issues installing games on day one and stuff too when I tried out Play Anywhere and stuff. So
yeah.
It's just more convenient on the console, in my opinion. Game Pass now has over 180 titles. Rocket League, as Tim mentioned earlier, is now in there. So if you haven't tried soccer cars, get in there and give it a whack. Vermintide 2 is a game that I want to see more people in my friends list playing. I don't know why a lot of people aren't playing this game, but it looks stunning. It's fun to play. Great co-op. It's got a ton of loot. Man, why? I don't know. Have you guys tried this game yet?
No, I've definitely played it. I love it.
Shady?
I think go ahead.
Shady, what were you saying?
I was going to say, I definitely played it with you and on my own. I was a fan of the first game. I'm a fan of this one. Like slicing heads, throats, cutting off arms, tails, legs. Guys are flipping. They're flopping all over the goddamn place. I love it. It's good. The game's good. It's exactly like Left 4 Dead, only way more melee based. There's a lot of loot involved. So when your replayability, you get better stuff. It's some good stuff. And one thing I do like is that almost everyone on my friends list that I do invite to play has the ability just to download it because they're all Game Pass members. Feels good.
They do. That's the magic and the power of Game Pass. Colt, you haven't got a chance to play the full game yet, though you did play the beta. Noof, you play it yet?
I have been playing it, and it is damn awesome. I got to hand it off. Like, you talk about a sequel that really trumps its predecessor big time, because I played the original and it didn't hook me the same way that the sequel did. This sequel, first of all, especially if you have the Xbox One X, looks phenomenal. Like, this really looks like a leap ahead. The actual detail on the levels, the actual like the draw distance on the levels as well, the stuff that's going on. And you know what, rarely ever, as well, as for as much stuff that's on the screen that gets up in your grill, I rarely found any slowdown or glitches. It's pretty smooth. There's a few in there, don't worry, but nothing major. It's just a fun game to play with your buddies, and the way that the characters level up and stuff, and the different weapons that you can get. It's got a pretty progressive and evolving leveling up system. And if you got Game Pass and you love co-op stuff and you love like melee, great action, you definitely owe it to yourself to give this game at least a shot. It's definitely worth the download. There's 5 chapters, I think, with like 4 sections within each one, that sort of thing. You got multiple characters you can pick. I really like it. I'm digging it. Been having a blast with it so far, and can't wait to play more of it.
Yeah, Tim, have you? If you haven't tried this, Tim, you gotta get on and play some.
I actually did play it at E3, and I talked to the developer, who was very cool. He gave me a bunch of the free betas at the time.
That's Shark.
Yeah, no, it looks like a great game. I haven't gotten around to it. I've been playing a lot of.
I mean, it's one of the games that actually utilize all of the RAM on the X, the 4K assets,
right?
And
it has textures,
awesome.
4K textures. Yeah, the dev is like I said, just as a person standpoint, was super cool. Like we talked for like, I would say 20 minutes, and he showed me the game, and he let me play, and he showed did this. But I think it's one of those games where a lot of people love it, but it doesn't seem to get the push that it should. You know what I mean? Or at least, who knows? I mean, I guess we'll see.
More than anything, it's like word of mouth, same as Zombie Army Trilogy.
Yeah.
That's a good time with 4-player co-op as well.
Right.
As Noof knows, he fucking went through that bitch. I need to finish that up too.
Right.
But yeah, download that, Tim, and we'll jump on that maybe tonight or something if you got some time.
Yeah, I'm gonna be available. I think I'll be on later.
So D, the Nintendo Switch with a 4K dock, they're starting to crack, man. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't hear about it.
Did you hear about this shit? Yeah, apparently they're cracking from heat. That's what I was told, and apparently Nintendo do not give 2 backflipping butt fucks about this.
Wow.
What are your thoughts on that? Should this even be happening? It's like a year old.
It shouldn't be happening, but I will say my kids do have the Switch, and it does get kind of hot in the dock. I will admit that it does get kind of hot in the dock. They should have. I don't know.
Dirty.
Is this a confirmed temperature thing that's causing this? No one's like sitting on it because it's in their back pocket. Like, is it confirmed heat that is cracking the back of your console?
It's like a more widespread thing. Like, yeah, it's happening to several Switches out there. Apparently, it's a thing that's happening.
Like, I can see several Switches being sat on in back pockets, and they're trying to pawn it off as I got warm and just cracked.
That's a big ass back pocket.
Yeah.
Hey,
when you feel the Switch though, it like, let's be honest, it does kind of feel cheap, to be honest with you. Like when I feel the Switch, I don't say, oh, this is like well built hardware. Like the Joy-Cons, like it all does feel really cheap and plasticky.
Yeah.
No doubt. The cracks I've seen, they just look way more user created as opposed to it's sitting in the dock getting warm and just all of a sudden you hear this and your Switch is cracked. I don't buy the heat. Now, I could be totally wrong, but my Switch
this is just
never
according to
leaves
what's
the
out there
dock.
so far. So
it's just
When
all
it
those kids raging from Fortnite. That's all.
yeah,
Does
they're
it
slamming
make-
that shit on the ground.
When
Yeah.
it cracks, does it make that little Nintendo sound?
It makes the coin sound from Mario.
Bling. Oh, that sucks. So the crack doesn't render the thing useless, obviously, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I haven't read into it.
I know that little NVIDIA GPU in there is fucking flaming hot, and then I don't know. It could be getting really hot. You just
That
who knows?
reminds me, like the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X have been really trouble-free as far as any major malfunctions. I mean, we haven't heard real big news about those
No.
things having problems, have we?
Well, if you
No.
have had this problem with your Switch though, and you bought it with your credit card, I'm pretty sure if you contact your credit card company, they could probably do something about it. Because most credit cards have that extra warranty on it and that extra insurance for that stuff. So
and Nintendo, like Sony did to people that were going through their banks and getting their money back, they revoked all their licenses for the games they bought.
What?
Yeah, Sony did that
We're the
a couple years back.
that was brutal.
Yeah, the guy lost all of his software he had ever bought for his PS4 because he went through his bank and got his money back. So you just never know what these companies
How the
will do,
heck
man.
do they even know that? That's oh my gosh! They use the PlayStation camera.
Oh, they know.
Aha!
They get let know by the bank. Like, hey, we're taking this money back, whether you like it or not. Like,
Oh,
yeah, didn't have a choice. And the guy tried to go through them. It didn't work. I did a video on this long ass time ago. And then the bank did it, and then they revoked all of his licenses. And I thought I'd take out this opportunity, Tim, to point out to you, Tim, that years later, almost 2 years later, in fact, there are still 0 native 4K exclusives on the Pro. I just thought,
oh my gosh! Seriously?
just a little change of pace. All of their first party titles are like 1440p or checkerboard 2160 or 1800. I can't think of one that's native 4K. Can you? Maybe the chat can.
No, you know what's funny about that too? You know how they like 1440p? Really, Spider-Man, I believe, is 1440p, and then it's reconstructed. It's how they call it 4K. But when Quantum Break, if you remember, came out, it was considered 720 by everyone, even though it uses a reconstruction effort, a reconstruction method to actually output a 4K image. So I just find it's funny how that was such a bad thing, and now we're having articles about how next generation be championed by
it also did sparse rendering. So just like Gravity Rush 2, it had a 4K frame buffer, but the things inside the frame buffer weren't 4K.
Yeah.
Quantum Break got hammered for that as well, for rendering things inside the frame buffer to lower resolution. It happens all the time. Lighting particles are rarely full resolution. That's sparse rendering. So yeah,
I remember we had that article. How the hell do you have 720p in 2017? I remember that article. It was such like a Taste Fest article, but it's just funny how really the tides have turned and the narrative has just completely either gone away or whatever. Is it a bone of contention to me? Yes. Should I probably let it go by now? Probably, but it was such a big deal for like 3 years.
It's kind of weird to me that resolution went by the wayside. That narrative completely flip-flopped over really what is like 5, maybe 8 big games that PlayStation got that, Xbox didn't quite answer with. Like it's nuts. I mean, I know there's tons of exclusives on both platforms, but the ones everyone's bragging about that look so amazing: Infamous Second Son, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, GT Sport. All these games look absolutely phenomenal at any resolution. But there's been this whole big push on social media that resolution doesn't matter when no game looks as great as God of War. And I know firsthand how great God of War looks even on the Slim. But these people have not sat down and played or watched Gears of War 4 or even Halo 5. That crappy campaign is beautiful.
It really doesn't matter because they've exposed themselves. The second they don't mention that for years, that resolution is different from actual visual effects, and they can combine to enhance each other, right? But
the X is getting
they are
both
separate things, and there's a reason that God of War is not 4K. It's because they've decided to add all of those additional effects instead. it's important. So we're not saying that argument's wrong, but in the past that never mattered. That's the point.
Yeah,
none of that mattered. It was about give me 1080p or I won't play this shit, quote unquote. So Tim's right. It's a little ridiculous, and I think that just like with the Pro, even though a lot of devs aren't even using the checkerboarding because it takes time. It takes up to 2 weeks for a team to checkerboard a game. It's not a button press. Maybe they'll start building in some more chips into the console that automatically or at least speed up checkerboarding process to kind of like Digital Foundry's recent video where they're talking about checkerboarding, getting similar sharpness or whatever, at least where you're sitting still. But then, kind of having that built in to help developers, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that'll happen with PS5. Perhaps.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, listen, if next generation, if there is a game that really wanted to push the limits and they use checkerboard 4K, I would respect the developer's decision. Like I said, most of my take on this was just how glorified it was at one time and how pushed it was to, really to the point where it's not even mentioned, talked about, or we have to really walk on eggshells when, we talk about the Pro or its lack of power.
Yeah, and let me address Van Damage real quick before I forget. He says God of War looks better. You can't deny it. And that's true. God of War looks amazing, but you also got to remember that God of War, and this is something that you guys, for some reason, a lot of you don't understand. It takes time to make a detail. God of War was in development for almost 5 years. There is no Xbox game, aside from some game that was in limbo with a third-party company. There's no first-party Xbox game that even took close to that amount of time to develop. None made by Microsoft that took even a fraction of that amount of time. It doesn't seem like Gears 4. Crackdown's not made by Microsoft. It's made by Sumo Digital. It's not even a first-party fucking studio making it, and that's part of Microsoft's problem. But Gears 4 was made in 2.5 years, and it's one of the best-looking games of all time. Oh, man. It is. Whether you guys have played it or not, it is. So time is a big factor. You can't just say, well, they just have more talent. No, well, they just took double the time, and that matters. So Microsoft give more teams more time. You'll start seeing that. I really do think you'll start seeing that. And another thing is, it's not just about God of War versus Gears. It's about Wolfenstein 2 versus Wolfenstein 2 on each console. It's about Assassin's Creed Origins versus Assassin's Creed Origin. Those games are on both platforms. Yeah.
Well, that mattered to Van Damme 4 years ago. That was Van Damme 4 years ago. Go ahead, Noob.
Having both Xboxes in my house, and I think many of you do as well. You have the S, you might have the original Fatty, and you have the X. And once you have the X and you play some of those games and you see like literally your eyeballs are having eyegasms because the game looks and runs so much better on the X, and it really does. Like one game that really stood out to me beyond, obviously Gears War 4 and the ones we typically expect. But I remember playing Ghost Recon on my S and thinking, it looks okay, but like there was a lot of frame rate issues. There was draw distance stuff, like a lot of those little things, right? Then you go over and you play it on the X, and everything is just popping off the screen. The super detail on the soldiers, on their gear, on the like everything in the game, and it's running like much smooth. Like there's a lot of things, like there's a lot of moments like that when you have the X that you go, holy Toledo. So regardless of the graphic quality, you cannot deny that performance, whether it's hitting true 4K or even having that higher frame rate, is friggin' amazing. And you take it for granted until you have that machine. I couldn't really go back. Like I basically leave my S now for playing like back compat stuff because I don't really care if an old game looks all that great, you know what I mean? But I want my new stuff to look and fucking run as good as it can. Stuff like Wolfenstein and Tomb Raider and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
And someone else said, just real quick, let me wrap this up and I'll hand it to you, Shady. Someone said Gears of War is not on the same level as God of War. And I would say that Gears of War is still one of the best looking games ever to me. And I've played it on multiple platforms. And I would also say that something you're not considering is Gears of War 4 is also 2 years older than God of War as well, on half of the development time. So really think about these things. It's not just because no one else can make amazing looking games. Some of the best looking graphics you've ever not seen in your life, apparently, were made by one or two guys, indie dudes and tech engines. Like, you get what I'm saying? So I think you'll start to see some of these visuals coming out here soon. With some of these games. Gears 5 is one of the best looking games of all time from what I've seen already. You can't deny that. Put JD's face up against Kratos's, in those fucking in-engine cutscenes and tell me that's not on the same level. I'm sorry, it is. And that was made for 1.3 teraflops. So, hey, you know, that's just the facts, guys. And both of these guys can make great looking games. That's just how it is. And I hate it when one side acts like the other can't, and then you forget that all multi-plats look better on the X in place of something like God of War. I mean, it's give and take, right? Shady?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to touch in with having the X. Is one of my favorite parts is the better load times. I noticed that big time playing a lot of games is that the loads are just so much faster than my older Xbox upstairs. Every now and then I fire it up and it's just, oh my God, get my walker out and old man status. It's no good. I like the speed and the non-enhanced games. They're enhanced in their own way. Every single one of them. They do play better. They do play smoother. It's great.
This fraud just said Gears looks off. Oh my God.
Come on.
You guys.
Gears is an amazing looking game. In fact, I was surprised how well it looked on the X compared to the PC. The only real difference is, to be honest with you, is the frames per second. It looks identical to the.
I mean, it has the 60 frames mode on the X.
Yeah. If who was it that said that Gears looks awful? They need to go to my last two videos and watch the clips that I handpicked from Gears 4 running on the X. An old 2016 game, like, will blow your face right off your skull. Like when JD's like walking around those generators with the lightning bolts flinging around him and the particles, and then the enemies drop down. Like, that game is.
It looks great.
Yeah. When you're on those motorcycles coming behind the plane, holy, that looks cool.
Brand new team, a smaller team, half the development time. I'd say they did a pretty good job. D, I want to ask you about these new Vega GPUs. I've looked into them, but I wanted to know what you thought about these rumors. 21 teraflops coming from Vega in the future, potentially, right? Did you look into this at all?
Yeah, so I you know what, I've been hearing this for a while, and honestly tell you, I just dismissed it because, like, come on, 21 teraflops, come on. But I keep hearing it. And where there's smoke, there's fire, and AMD is really hush on their on the Navi architecture. Now I know that they're going to be releasing a 7 nanometer Vega real soon. So I'm expecting that probably to be around maybe 12, 13 teraflops. So it's not out of the question that Navi could be 21 teraflops. Now, if Navi's 21 teraflops, oh my fucking gosh, man.
I gotta give a shout out to almost 550 people watching this live, guys. Hit that like button if you can. Let's try to get to 300 for the end of the show. And I agree, and I'm gonna explain something here because we got a lot of console guys. Well, most of us are console guys here. But you know, we know about both sides. The reason that they're trying to shrink these chips, 7 nanometer being smaller than what are they on now, 16 nanometer?
I believe they're around 16. I think they were, or it might have been 12. I'm not sure.
So if they can shrink that chip, they can shrink the heat and the power usage of that chip. Therefore, they can fit it in more devices, suck less energy. And that's one of the reasons they go with APUs for consoles. They're much more energy efficient. They're cheaper. It's the CPU and GPU all on one piece of silicon. And they all have their advantages. They are for what they are for. So,
Well, in theory, we'll have to see when it comes out. But in theory, a 7 nanometer Vega chip should perform around the same as a GTX 1080 Ti, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I want AMD to step their shit up because we expected the last shit to perform up there and it didn't. So
it didn't. Unless you got like a liquid cooled Vega like myself, yeah, it fell short.
And you have to. I mean, let's be honest, 2D. You got to take that card out of your PC and sprinkle a little crack on it, and then put it back in to get it to compete with a Ti. I mean,
no. It's not. It's in some games it'll come close to Ti. The odd game, very odd game, it'll outperform like what we're hearing now.
Like AMD optimized titles.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. The new Battlefield is actually on NVIDIA now. It's NVIDIA optimized, and the Vega 64s in the closed betas are outperforming the GTX 1080 Ti. Now, when launch comes around, that's going to be the same issue. I don't know, and I know we like also to Forza, it outperformed the GTX 1080 Ti, but most times it falls short of a GTX 1080 Ti for sure.
Ether Gamer Radio says, when are you going to have me on? We're going to turn this up. Hey, man, check out the Patreon link. We got a link for you if you want to come on. We do have a tier for you, bud. So, we do got to move it along. Looks like AMD are continuing to innovate. Nobody thought they could do a 6 teraflop APU. They did it custom just for the X. We'll see what's coming up for the PS5 and the next Xbox. New Elite Controller 10. Did you hear about this?
Is this the Elite Control that we thought we were going to see at E3? If
Yeah, this one apparently this is a new leak though, and it's codenamed Spider. It's got 3-stage trigger locks. It's got the ability, and this is a big one for people, the ability to loosen or tighten the joysticks individually. Yes. So if you want really stiff joysticks, that's the controller for you.
Oh, I just got to tell the panel and everyone watching that Dealer plays his games inverted.
I do. I gotta admit, I play them the right way. I gotta play them the right way, guys. And
I've known this guy for
my mind sees that way.
I've known this guy for over a year, and we're like on a party getting a game rolling, and he goes, "Oh, I got to invert the controls." I go, "Why?" And he goes, "That's how I play all my games the right way." I'm like, "Ew."
Think about it. Think about it like this, Colt. If you put an analog stick on the back of your head, or even sticking straight up out of your head,
I know, and that's
you'd hold down to look up.
That's how I fly my planes. Yeah, I remember that whole argument.
Okay, frauds. I'm getting to
I just thought it was funny.
Super chat. Sonic Fluff. Super chat says, "What are some of your favorite hidden games that deserve sequels?" His is I Am Alive and Singularity. So mine, I would say, well, I guess it was Vermintide 1, honestly. So that was me, and it got a sequel. So anybody else got a kind of hidden game that was kind of not recognized that really deserved a sequel?
Well, I mean, I keep saying Rise because I recently liked it. Yeah.
Quantum Break. I think Quantum Break would be a great game if they got. Listen, Quantum Break, in my opinion, if they had done what they originally wanted to do, and you see some of the concept, they had like these warped, these time creatures.
Don't spoil it. I'm on chapter 4.
Did they have?
I'm not going to say. They had some really cool concept, and they kind of probably cut it production short because they want the game out, and then that stupid TV show. Unfortunately,
did they have those rumored better supporting characters and stuff?
Yeah, I heard there
was
a
better story. Was that rumored?
I didn't dislike the story. I dislike the end, but the end.
Okay.
Hey, Remedy just said that Alan Wake 2 and Quantum Break 2 are on Microsoft.
I know. Well, that's them saying, "Hey, let's get cozy."
Hey, pay me to make the game that we may or may not take half a decade to make, and it may or may not be good. It's risky.
I think for me, I think that it is a risky acquisition. We was talking about that today, but Remedy would be an interesting acquisition if they could make it. I mean, you have Alan Wake or Quantum Break. And I believe both of them will be successful.
Hey, Fonzarelli in the super chat in this fraud, he says, "I finally beat Inside. Excellent game. I told you, man. It's one of my favorite games in the last couple of years. Good game, man. Glad you got through it."
I would definitely buy Remedy. I think they're a talented bunch of developers. They're always bringing some type of new, innovative engine to the gaming community. I think they'd be great. I think they'd be great, man.
We'll see how Control turns out.
Exactly. It all. I think that what you got from that statement today was, hey, if Control doesn't do what we're supposed to do, maybe we can go back to being a partner, possibly. Mm-hmm. We'll be looking to, be a part of this whole thing.
Meaning they really liked working with Microsoft.
Well, they've had a good relationship, but towards the end, I think there's a little bit of a rift, but they still have a good relationship. I think that they've asked for things. They asked for it to be on Steam, and I think that they still have a working relationship. But at one time, it was a strong relationship.
Yeah.
I just have a question. What the hell is Rocksteady up to? Has anybody heard anything about what their next game is? Because I'm dying. It's like, and I also want to get another Batman game, a sequel to Arkham Knight, which I thought was phenomenal and probably one of the best looking games this gen. But we need a Batman, and I'm dying to see what Rocksteady's doing. I haven't heard shit. Apparently, they didn't do
Ninja Turtles
3.
It ain't Ninja Turtles, goddammit.
There's rumors
got to make a good one,
but I don't know.
Yeah, Superman or Justice League based title, apparently, which will go up against the Avengers game coming from Crystal Dynamics, makers of Rise of the Tomb Raider. Both of those teams were rumored to be at this E3. Neither of them showed up. So you may have a big show off next year at E3 between the two. And also, we haven't seen anything from the Arkham Origins team since 2013. They may have consolidated those two teams to build a bigger game in half the time. You never know. So I don't think Origins was as bad as people gave it crap for. Oh, it's iterative and it'll only improve. Well, you just gave Call of Duty a 9. How many times have I said this? So I don't know. I liked the game. I thought it was good.
Me too. Me too.
I want to go back to the Elite controller though, because we got ass cheeks and they're falling asleep. So you do got the tension strings. You got USB-C, so you can get some fast charging going on in the controller. You've got some revised grip. You've got built-in batteries and can potentially make use of a charging dock. So
that's a boo.
That's a boo. Well,
for such an expensive controller to use,
I heard it's the case. I heard it's the case. To be honest,
so you could take it out.
It's the case of the thing. You put it back in the case. It'll charge.
So the battery is detachable, but it's a rechargeable battery.
I don't know if it's internal. I think the case itself is the charging dock. I've heard that rumor. Plus, they also have, which is really cool. And I think the reason why they call it the Spider is because the sticks, the things that you put on the back, you can get really long extended ones that extend past the controller bottom.
So you got long ass fingers like Shady,
right? Or some
long slinky fingers.
It extends over the controller, so you know how a Spider has its freaking legs. It's the same thing. It's like longer and
the Shelob controller.
The Shelob.
Yeah. But I think it's very real, and I think that it's just going to be there next. I don't think people might have a problem with the controller aspect as far as the batteries, but otherwise it sounds pretty cool to me.
And hey, if you're not a fan of a feature on that controller, speak with your wallet and do or don't buy it. That's how it works. What did you say, Shady?
I didn't say anything.
Oh man, maybe that was me force projecting your voice.
I just said amen to that.
Amen. Shady, you got an Elite controller?
I don't have an Elite controller. My roommate does. I enjoy using it here and there, but I don't think it's that much better than just using my regular one. Not worth the $180 Canadian price tag for me. I'd rather buy like damn near 3 other ones and just have them around.
I mean, I would recommend it provided you are going to use those extra panels and stuff. But it's a phenomenal controller.
Oh, no doubt. The quality's there. I enjoy using it when I do, but I don't, actively seek it out. And I'm not going to drop $180, which is what it costs up here in Canada.
Yep. Prices up there crazy. D-Bat, you did a video on this Dolby Vision heading to Xbox One X via streaming and recently announced Blu-ray. Give us the deets.
Yeah, that's incredible. So we know that the Xbox insiders right now, they're enjoying Dolby Vision. I think it drops next week, actually. I don't think it's dropped yet, but it's dropping next week to the insiders. They're going to have Dolby Vision from the streaming apps. And right now, the only streaming app that I know that does Dolby Vision is basically Netflix. They got a bunch of movies.
Explain to people what Dolby Vision is real quick for those that don't know.
Okay, so Dolby Vision, of course, it's a different flavor of HDR. And what makes it different from the other HDRs is that basically it has dynamic metadata. So instead of it just having static brightness for every single scene, it adjusts it on a scene by scene, frame by frame basis. So you get better HDR reproduction.
So the brights can vary depending on the environment of the scene.
That's correct, and that's actually coded into it right now. This is kind of the best type of HDR. All the experts agree that this is, the best use of
right
HDR.
Now, yes.
And there is HDR 10 Plus, which essentially does the same thing. But still, I like Dolby Vision HDR. So this is huge for Xbox. And
the high-end TVs generally support both. But I have this theory that HDR it'll catch Dolby Vision and pass it. It's a free standard. There's just more people working on it. More people using it. It's going to improve faster than Dolby Vision, most likely. But having both does not hurt at all.
No, it doesn't hurt. I think HDR 10, once it becomes a standard, I think Dolby Vision will kind of die out because a lot of these companies aren't going to want to pay the licensing fees for Dolby Vision, right? So they'll just go with the free option. But still, it's good to have. And okay, the streaming apps, it's a good thing. But to be honest, most TVs, if you have a Dolby Vision TV, you're able to stream Dolby Vision stuff anyways. But the 4K Blu-ray disc Dolby Vision support that's coming this fall, that is fucking huge because if you're going to get a Dolby Vision supported 4K player, there's not a lot of them, first of all, and if you're going to get one, it's going to cost you more than the Xbox One S, right? So you're going to get basically a console and player all wrapped into one. And the casual that walks into Best Buy or any of these stores, that grabs a 4K TV, they're gonna obviously opt for an Xbox One S or some an X, so they can get 4K Blu-ray support for the Dolby Vision discs. So it's a big thing. This is really huge, and I gotta say, I fucking love Xbox. You got FreeSync on the system, you got Dolby Vision on the system, you got Dolby Atmos on the system, and like
love that, yeah.
and nobody gives the Xbox One X or the Xbox One S its due. Like that's like a console that's doing free fucking sync. That's amazing.
Yeah, or one 1440p support, 120 hertz. There's so many things. But one of the questions I have: do you know if normal standalone UHD players support Dolby Vision, or
they don't.
They don't, right?
No, you have to, it has to be a specific brand of
because
4K
they have to license
model.
Yeah, so,
Right.
not all of them support it. So you're gonna have to actually get one that specifically does support the format.
So you have to have a specific player that licensed Dolby. Then you have to have a TV that has Dolby license. Then you have to. So what do all 4K? Because I haven't looked at my disc very closely. Do all the 4K discs I bought so far? Did they all support Dolby, or is that just some? Or
no, they don't all support Dolby Vision. Only some of them do.
Okay, so you have to have the right TV, the right player, which in this case is Xbox One X, and I'm assuming the S
DVD will work.
Yeah, and then you have to have the right disc. So yeah, it's one of those things like my LG OLED, it supports both, so I'm covered. But depending on your TV, it might come in an update, or you might just only have HDR. I think HDR is fucking phenomenal, HDR10. But for those of Dolby 2, you have that option. I wonder if they'll give you the option, or if it'll just default to Dolby.
I would think it probably. From what I've seen, it defaults to Dolby once it's available. It doesn't really give you HDR10. If they're both available on most TVs, it's to Dolby Vision. Now, if you want Dolby Vision, you got to get either a Sony TV supported, LG TV supported, and Vizio supported. Samsung is not on board with Dolby Vision, so it's not coming to Samsung anytime soon. They're doing the HDR10 plus thing.
They're not paying for that shit.
Yeah, they're not paying for that shit. That's right.
I just want to know, why are you all upgrading the Blu-ray and all this cool stuff for my best movie? I come from the 80s and they're still on VHS, like Commando and The Running Man. I mean, you watch those on VHS, you don't need Dolby Vision, you'll have double vision. Do it.
Kindergarten Cop.
You remember on VHS when you'd get the tracking lines? You'd have to fucking the fucking tracking lines.
Oh, God, D carried the conversation into VHS territory. That's my cue. Hey, Tim Dog, give us the download what Matt Booty is talking about. The boss of Xbox, technically the guy who heads up the first party stuff now, took Phil Spencer's old job. He had some stuff to say on new studios. What did he have to say, Tim?
I'm going to answer that question, but I just want to say, like, a game like Black Panther definitely has it. I'm just looking at it right now. It has Vision. But as far as the Matt Booty question, he had an article today, and he talked about the 5 signings, but of the studios that they bought. And he went into a little bit about that and how they're looking to build games content for all of us Xbox gamers. But the one thing that I took away from it, and I was bothering Dealer in the middle of the day, was this comment where he basically it's a PC Game Insider article. You can just pull it up, put Booty in that. But he basically talks about it looks like they're still looking to add more studios. They're looking kind of for
mid-range type
of stuff that they can kind of like mid-tier and build onto. So I kind of figured that was their idea, like when people said Obsidian and stuff like that. But the big thing I took away from this was that they're not done, man. They're actively looking to get a couple more studios, and we all know. Listen, when we were all arguing, or when there was a lot of Xbox fans arguing, hitting me up about Xbox, and I didn't have answers for them. They all said, "What about the games? The games." If you don't have studios, you can't make games. If you do have studios, you're going to get games because that's what they're there for. And you're talking about where Xbox is getting to a point where if they add a couple more studios, they're going to be the active platform owner with the most studios under their belt. You know, Sony has always held that crown.
Yep.
And by a lot, but they are actually, if you look at
most of those studios Sony have, they're a little mid-tier or lower.
Yeah, they have some. They have some that are like for the iToy. Yeah. Like there's some on Xbox, like London studio where it's for not even for Xbox. So I don't even I don't even put that down, but it looks like Xbox is going to have 11 right now studios, and one of those studios is making 2 games in Forza Horizon and Fable, most likely. They're looking to add more, and that just goes to show you that they're going broke. They're going for the broke for this. They are building something that they have a clear and set plan.
They got that money now, Tim.
They got that money, and that's when you see, hey, we're like Quantum Break. Hey, they could have, when they say that after what went on from, some of the rifts I heard that went on, when they're saying stuff like that, they say, hey, Microsoft, what's up with that money? People see that. People are seeing what's going on right now.
Yep. And I just want to sum up what you said. So Booty comes out. He says that, hey, we've got 11 creative studios right now working on games. Some teams more than one, but we are looking at buying even more, and we're looking at teams as well that are more mid-range. They're not fucking DICE. They're not the biggest of the biggest. They're more mid-range that we can build onto and get some real creative freedom out of those teams. Not the big corporation type games where you're just whatever. Some people might say like Gear. No, like more I guess unique titles. And that's what they're kind of looking for, because they know that they can't just ride on the same old IPs. They're looking for unique titles that can then sprout wings and become massive titles over time, and that's very smart. So at the end of the day, that's what Matt Booty's saying once more. And I don't see, maybe that has something to do with this Gamescom leak. Apparently, according to a developer, he's saying that Microsoft have unannounced exclusive games that they chose not to announce.
Yes.
And that maybe you might see one at Gamescom. And that's coming up soon. Gamescom is.
I think it'd be really cool if they bought the Limbo developer.
Oh, that'd be good. Hey,
those guys are talented.
Those are the type of guys that listen. You got to look at 2 things: the new IPs that are coming, like that, like their relationship, like Cuphead might be something, but also what Matt envisions is like you're going to take a studio like freaking Ninja Theory, that studio, and Undead Labs. In the process of 5 years, probably through hiring, through support, now becomes a AAA studio. Now they got these big hitters. Now these guys that were once smaller games are now, like in Compulsion Games, they're really small. They might be mid-tier, and Undead Labs might be a real AAA pack on, full developer. And that strategy is fantastic, in my opinion, and I think it's going to work. I think this guy Booty, he doesn't really interact with fans. I don't know, but I could say he just seems like
more followers than he does on Twitter. I know that. I think.
Yeah, he got his act together.
Yeah, he's not. He just got the role. He's probably pretty busy. He hasn't been on Twitter much, but that we know now what he was talking about on Twitter. That him and Matt Booty or him and Daryl Gallagher would have an announcement out around E3, and that is the initiative, the new mega studio they've constructed. Which is built for easy scalability, efficiency, and like I said, Microsoft acquiring these studios, as we learned from Ninja Theory, as we were told by some people out there that have really crazy conspiracy theories, Microsoft don't just hamper their studios and tell them exactly what they need to do. With Gears, they said, hey, we're building a team for Gears of War. We need people that want to work on Gears of War. They're not like, hey, you need to go work on Gears, Rob Ferguson. They literally asked him if he wanted to. And with Ninja Theory, they told him, we're not going to interfere in shit. Make your next game. It's apparently well in development already, and it looks pretty crazy. That's just how they are now, I guess. So this is kind of a different Microsoft from a decade ago. I really enjoyed it.
100%.
Yeah, so
Phil's a real proponent of you do your job, you're expected. He's hands off. So he's going to be hands off. And sometimes that was, in some cases, was kind of bad with Scalebound.
Sea of Thieves.
Possibly Sea of Thieves, but he expects the studios to push out a certain amount of quality, and he's not in there meddling like some of the previous people there.
Yeah, let the devs build what they're passionate
Right.
about for those new teams, and that's how you're going to get the best product. I got to give a shout out to over 500 people watch this live, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't. It really helps. I want Colt, Shady, and Noof's opinion on this, as well as D, potentially, if you give a fuck. And I want Colt.
It's hard to say. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. It's hard to say what we don't know what's coming. We don't know what they could be making, but I mean, we just have like those little clues and those little hints, like games we already know existing being revived. But I just hope they're building something that's going to just be a contender. I mean, they just one game that would be a contender with something that PS4 had this generation would be really good for Xbox fans.
I think we're gonna get some type of Splinter Cell announcement this year for sure.
Well, that's from like Ubisoft, right? Like who?
I definitely think we're going to see something Fable related at Gamescom. I really do.
Really?
You know, it just feels like it's long overdue, and it feels like Playground is fairly like well into it at this point, maybe. So, I mean, whether the game comes out in the next year or two, but I definitely think we'll see something. I think fans are, you know, hanging on to the thread, waiting to hear something like that. But I also think there's other studios, as you mentioned earlier, that have more than one project on the go that we could see something from them, you know what I mean, as to where they're at. But I definitely think we'll see some big announcements out of Gamescom for sure.
Maybe Perfect Dark. That's
Somebody said didn't Bungie went out because they wanted freedom. I think there was several things. I don't even know if Microsoft didn't even own them fully. For one, I don't think.
No.
And secondly, that was, like I said, this is a new Microsoft we're talking about. That's why I said that afterwards, because this is Phil Spencer's time, and his idea is let these guys build what they want to build, unless you specifically wanted to be recruited to a Halo or Gears team, because those are billion-dollar franchises. Same with Forza. If you want to go there, go there. But if you don't, they're not making you. And if you don't want to work on those games anymore, you can leave and work on some other things, you know. So, Noof, what did you have to say about this Matt Booty stuff? Gamescom, maybe? Expectations?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you think that Fable might show up at Gamescom?
Yeah, totally. I wouldn't. I'm not ruling it out. I mean, I hope I'm correct. It's nice to predict stuff and be correct, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little tease, just something to come out and say, yeah, Fable's in the works, that sort of thing. Outside of that, I really don't know. I think there's definitely multiple projects on the go within some of the big franchises. I mean, who knows? There could even be some kind of Halo spinoff somewhere along the lines, for all we know. But I don't expect to see any more from that. But yeah, definitely, I think if anybody is overdue, it's Fable.
Donuts in 4K. I want to see donuts in 4K.
Donuts in 4K.
Remember last year at Gamescom, Shannon Loftus had them donuts out. I don't know. Whatever. I guess nobody remembers. So, hey, Shady, what do you got to say on this, man?
Well, as they obviously didn't name any games by specific name, I'm not sure what he's talking about, but games are obviously being made. And I believe in a previous interview recently, Phil Spencer was talking about hinting that maybe Ninja Theory's game would sort of maybe be the next one they show off and is furthest along. I mean, it's like a 100+ man team, and was it like 20 people made Hellblade? So the other guys were doing something besides collecting a paycheck. I'm assuming it was make a game. So I think it's gonna come from them. I'm not too sure exactly what else there's going to be, but I just know content is coming, and I'm excited. I like all game content.
Yeah. I think ID at Xbox will have more of a presence too at Gamescom, where they were a little bit short at the E3.
I think that's just because they learned nobody really gave a shit about that montage. But you got a lot higher profile game. Like Hellblade was an ID at Xbox game. You got a lot of games that are actually a little more higher profile going in through IDX Xbox now. So maybe they will show off some of that stuff. D, what are your thoughts on this, man?
I don't know. I keep hearing Perfect Dark, rumors behind the scenes. So maybe we'll see a Perfect Dark by then. I don't know.
Is it safe to say, panel, that things are only going to get better?
Yeah, it's safe. It's safe to say it.
I mean, they've almost doubled the amount of teams they have. Most of those teams have things in the work. Gears 5 is coming out next year. I mean, it's only getting better, guys. And I think you'll see some more photorealistic visuals, because the X can certainly do it if the Pro can do it. Keep that in mind. So it's not the hardware. It's definitely not the hardware. We've seen drastic differences between the S and the X in visuals. There's nothing holding that back. They can just take PC assets right over, and PC is what it is. It's the most powerful platform. So you can run some really, gorgeous visuals over there. So we'll see see the direction they go. I think they'll go that direction with State of Decay 3. Don't you, Tim? Maybe some more photorealistic lighting and stuff.
Yeah. State of Decay 3, I think, will come out and it'll be much more AAA-esque type game. It's been very popular. So yeah, that's going to be. I think they're going to work on that, and I think it's going to be a AAA title, what we all envisioned. But I can tell you this much, sometimes I get messages and sometimes I talk to people and there were times where there weren't, I got stupid answers or I got things that made me like scratch my head. But recently, I have been, got hit up a couple of times with some pretty good people and they are just supposedly they're like totally going for the broke right now. Like it is console. There's gonna be new tech, whatever that means. X-ray tracing that was mentioned between whatever it was mentioned. But
Tim took that Ambien way too early.
No, I am tired, but like they are, and obviously the games and content is coming first and foremost. Now, I'm not privy to any information. Like they're never going to tell me anything, but they'll tell me, yeah, man, this is real deal. We're going for broke. So the atmosphere or the litmus test, if you want to take it at the at Microsoft within them is like we're going for broke. So they're going like the first time ever. What we always wanted. They're not treating this like any. They see gaming as a way to get them to be possibly the first $1 trillion company. And you look at Windows. There was a chart that came out, and I don't know if it was accurate, but it said Windows at 9% and Xbox division over Windows, and it kind of makes sense because computers are going more. Everything's going more and more mobile with phones and everything. So this is Xbox time to shine, and they're getting the correct funding like they should be.
Well, Xbox just got off like a 3 or 4 year grounding where they were sent to their room and they weren't allowed to increase funding or acquire.
Thanks, Terry Myerson.
Yeah. I mean, it's really ridiculous. I mean, it's embarrassing. It really is.
Well, it was embarrassing that they tried to push it off because they should have never, I understand. Listen, desperate times call for desperate measures. They're not going to paint a rosy picture, or they're not going to even try when they really didn't have anything. There was a time where there was just no game creation, and that time really, really hit them hard earlier this year when Sony's games started to hit and they had nothing. They didn't have anything since 2017. Well, it's been very slow. And that period was really all changed when Phil became the, as they call it, the pillar of video games within
Terry
the
Myerson basically got let go.
And Phil got the way to get money because now, I think the Myerson was more of a Windows guy, 100% than the gaming guy, and was probably a guy like, why are we even in this realm? We should be trying to do something else. He had no.
He was an idiot, is what you're trying to say,
or just not a gamer, or in his mind he thought it was not a losing proposition.
Yeah.
But now you have a situation where you got a guy at the table and Phil, who, obviously you look at Game Pass and that's shutting everyone up. That's like, okay, that's the biggest thing. When Mixer came, everything was like, oh, Mixer's huge. We got to make this huge. It didn't really pan out, but Game Pass panned out for them. And that really was the switch of everything.
And whether or not it panned out or not, my message to people that were doom and glooming it, oh my God, how are these games going to make money and blah, blah, blah. It's like, worry about how you benefit. Stop worrying about how motherfucker companies are making money and worry about how you, the consumer, are getting things for cheaper than ever and you're getting more things than ever.
They're making fun of Game Pass.
200 titles. You can go pay $10, get almost 200 titles a month, or pay $10 and rent one game, or maybe even two if you're lucky for a week. You choose. So I think it's a win-win-win, and it's proven to be a win-win-win because sales are up, engagement's up, and people are playing games they never thought they'd play.
Yeah.
and that's important. So you're right, Tim. I did a video on that. Xbox are done messing around. They are investing in software and hardware, and a State of Decay
and tech
developer also talked about that. That's been over double confirmed by now. So money is flowing out the woodworks here. So hey guys, we got to give a shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for bearing with us. First show back, trying to get consistent again. We will work on it. We'll get better as we always do. Thank you for showing up, and hit that like button on your way out as we do some outros. If you haven't already, consider hitting that bell button as well. And if you want to sponsor the show or come on the show or anything on that Patreon, win some free games like the two gentlemen at the beginning of the show did. Guillermo Cabillo won Red Faction Remastered, and Suicide King won Star Wars Battlefront 2. Please DM me if you are watching on Twitter, and I will give you those codes. Like I said, you want to enter, win some games and more, check out that Patreon link down in the description, and check out all the fine gentlemen here on the panel. We'll start with Noof Nukem, man. Thanks for coming on, man. I know we kind of yammered a lot back and forth, long, drawn-out conversations, man, but you took it like a champ, and you had some great input, man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate being on RDX. Always one of the funnest nights of the week. A great panel. Always a good show. Lots of wicked topics. Glad you guys could make it back and get back on the roll. So thanks for having me. And you guys know where to find me, as always, in the gutter. But otherwise on X. And gonna go back to more Vermintide.
Hey, what'd you say? You playing some more Vermintide?
Yeah, probably gonna go back, play some more Vermintide. I still actually want to play some more of that Zombie Army trilogy too. That game was kind of addictive. So, but yeah, you guys know where to find me and all that good stuff. So hit me up, send me a game invite. Good stuff. Way to go, chat. Catch you all later. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So did you can find Noof Nukem? You just type your name in on YouTube, right? Did you say that, or did you cut out during that part? God, out again. Holy shit!
Pretty much.
All right. Well, definitely check Noof Nukem out on his YouTube channel and on Twitter. We've also got Tim Dog, Ps4 Tim Dog from Twitter, as a matter of fact. Thanks for coming on, brother. We're good old friends, and we had a good old conversation here. Where can people find you, man?
I'm only on Twitter, really, and I go on BGST Sunday nights. Sometimes I go on Xbox Uncut Friday nights. But basically, if you want to get in touch with me, I'm on Twitter. You can just hit me up, Ps4 Tim Dog. Leave a like. The show is a real pleasure to be on. It's run like a real professional show, and a lot of it's one well.
I mean, come on. I might say backflipping butt fuck a few times here and there, but otherwise, you run
a tight ship. You run a tight ship, and I love the quality of the panel, and just the overall the overall podcast is great. Just hit that like button for me, basically, and I want to hit 300, to be honest. So
I mean, like I said, YouTube's been dead, the news has been dead. We all been dead on vacation. It's the summer, but that's why I say we still cleared over 550 awesome people that still showed up, and we do appreciate it, guys. You help make this a phenomenal podcast. You're a big part of it. So thanks, Tim Dog, for coming on.
Thank you.
They can find you at Ps4 Tim Dog, correct?
Yeah, just on Twitter. Thank you.
On Twitter at Ps4 Tim Dog. Follow him there. Also, we've gotten Darth D Batch, man. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at D_Batch and on YouTube at D Batch. And I got to say, it was a great panel tonight. This is one of the best shows that we ever did. I love this panel, man.
I gotta hang on. I gotta mod you real quick. I'm gonna mod you real quick, and I want you to put your channel link in the chat as well, so people can check you out.
Awesome. Dealer acted like it was like a gigantic nuclear key he had to put in off the side. Hold on a second.
There, D-Batch. D-Batch is now, don't fuck with D. Robo D is on the scene. He'll fuck you up now. He can ban you and do all kinds of weird shit to you. Normally call the cops on. So, yeah, D, put your link in the chat there and people can check your shit out. Right. We've also got Shady, man. It's been good having you on, man. You've been a little tired today, but we'll take it easy on you.
Yeah, it was good to be back. I know it was, a handful of weeks there, but it felt like damn near 2 months on my end. That was sweet. Everyone can find me at So Shady at the Sesh Empire. I wanted everyone to know we're ramping up, bringing people in. All my controller soldiers out there, hit the follow button. Come on down. It's going to be good. Don't become a peasant. Be an agent.
This motherfucker rehearses this in the bathroom mirror. I swear. Controller soldiers. That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right, well, there you go.
Follow So Shady at what should have been at So Shady, but he went with this other thing. The Sesh Empire. What is it?
No, it's at the Sesh Empire. It's the crew, man. It's from the 7th dimension, the gaming realm.
Holy
We're here
shit.
to take over.
We need to find the 4th dimension first. Jesus.
No,
I still think he's our like Canadian Vince Vaughn whenever he's talking. Yeah, we like Shady.
I do one with 5 speaker cities.
We've also got Colt Eastwood, the naughty dog of YouTube. Where can people find you, man?
The Microsoft employee, the Xbox fanboy, the king of Sting. Yeah. You can find me at Colt Eastwood on YouTube and at Colt Eastwood on Twitter. And that's where I'm talking to people, talking about gaming, sharing screenshots. Hey, look, this game actually looks good. Did you know that? No, it's Halo. It looks like garbage. But
what game is that, Halo? Oh, that looks like shit.
Crazy, like this. Like it was going to be a really abysmal summer drought, and then Game Pass just like stepped it up for the summertime, and it's so funny. I would heartily tell you guys to go try out Red Faction Guerrilla, which is not in Game Pass, but yeah, I'm having so much fun, and I'm just racking up gamer score, and it's going to be a fun summer, and like because we need it to fly because we're going to be playing Spider-Man and Rise of the Tomb Raider and Forza Horizon 4. So, oh man, I cannot wait. It's gonna be great.
Red Faction is a blast, and I just beat it last night. I'm going into the DLC, which there is, by the way, for anyone that owns it, extra content. Click on that, you'll find the little prequel story, and that also has a gamer score tied to it. So.
Yeah, I'm on the last mission. The game runs at 60 frames, unless you're bringing down like the entire like city. It's so funny because dealer told me to get the games. Like, it's only $30. I'm like, and I had this memory of enjoying it, but like it just wasn't all that great. And like 2 minutes in, I was like, holy crap! I put the game I was playing aside and just go have fun out there, guys. These games are so freaking fun.
What it's all about. It's it's not like you're out there going after 2-month-old Twitter posts like a fucking idiot. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for checking us out. Like I said, we appreciate it. We'll be back next week for sure, and it will be consistent as ever. Hit that like button on the way out if you haven't, and we're out, guys.
All right, see ya.
OLED is king.